Cheese Racing. Cheese Racing. The official and only authoritative site of cheese rolling at Cooper's Hill, Gloucestershire. The 2016 champion, okay. No, that's not quite what I'm after. Let's see, cheeseracing.com. Yeah, that's more like it. Inflating cheese slices since 1997. Yeah, that's definitely. That's some good work right there. What the? Is the door unlocked? Like, you can't just sneak up on me like this. Whew, blimey. Hello. I suppose welcome back to the Archaeosoup Tower's office. I suppose since you're here, might as well give you an office tour. Now, in all seriousness, I continue to receive requests from people who want to see behind the scenes at the Archaeosoup Tower's office. And I have been pointing people to last year's office tour video, but actually that video is quite out of date now. And I don't plan on doing an annual office tour, but seeing as things have changed quite dramatically, really in the course of 2016 into this year, I figured, okay, I'll do an update video. So let's dive in, I suppose. And welcome to my desk. Now, the biggest change in the past year has been the computer. This screen, for a start, is an LED backlit HD monitor. It's quite big. It sort of sits just about in the space on the desk. And actually, I'm very lucky. I bought it blind as an X-display model, so like an Acer HD screen. And I was hoping it would fit, and it does just about fit on the desk. But more than this screen represents the fact that I now edit using a Tower-based PC. It's a Lenovo Tower PC, instead of using a laptop, or rather relying on a laptop. You may recall that my laptop not that long ago broke down. I had to have the hard drive replaced, and I felt the vulnerability that entails. The fact that actually when it's broken, I couldn't do anything in terms of producing footage for YouTube, or for example for clients, for commissioned film work. So getting a PC was an investment that I simply had to do, and I was very fortunate. I got, I think in last year's January sales, I purchased the PC, and I've never really looked back at it. It's been wonderful. And this means actually that the whole desk really has changed quite a lot. And in particular, this means that, for example, now I have this keyboard here. This is a SteelSeries gaming keyboard, in fact. But the reason why it's great is that actually it has programmable buttons, which are useful for editing. So these things here can have what are called macros attached to them, which are a series of keystrokes that happen automatically when you push the button. So, for example, you can open up your editing file, you can separate audio and video using simple button clicks. And so I didn't want a full editing keyboard, but this keyboard is great for the task, the tasks which I put before it. I also have a wired SteelSeries mouse as well, and you'll notice that both have customizable colours. So I have purple and green because those are the Archaeosoup sort of company colours. Now, in addition to that, I continue my tradition of having play things on the desk just to sort of entertain and inspire. An alien toy, Batman on his bat pod from The Dark Knight, Mal's pistol from Firefly, something which I finished off and painted myself not that long ago. Transformer, Indiana Bones here, and Michael Keaton's Batmobile, of course, another alien. And this is just basically for fun, but also actually this whole space continues to be functional, because, for example, coming out of the back of the keyboard, we have a very really useful sort of maneuverable but solid cable, which actually is a phone stand. So I can have my phone plugged in, it's charging, emails and updates sort of ping at me on the desk in front of me. It's just a useful space, and that's the whole mantra really over the past year, has been increasing the usefulness of this space. Yes, it's still a bit messy, I've still got mess there and mess here, for example, For example, in the case of this screen, I've made small changes that have been very useful. Now, I'll talk about what's on the screen in a second. But the screen itself, actually, first of all, it's black now instead of grey, which sort of matches the aesthetic of the rest of the computer, but that's not the reason why I got it. I got it because it has a circular base, and it fits perfectly on the little Lazy Susan setup, which I have here, when I come to sort of turn the screen around, which helps me in my day-to-day work. Yes, the screen is slightly larger, and it has a slightly better resolution, but that's not the point. The point is that I upgraded essentially the screen and its turnability, and also actually I now have a lovely HD webcam from Advent, because I wanted to be able to film interviews quickly, efficiently, and crucially in a way which is more visible for the people that I was filming with. On previous setups, especially when I was using a laptop, the camera essentially would be here, pointing in this direction, and I'd be over there somewhere, sat on a chair just there, and the person I was interviewing couldn't see me. So now actually this is much more effective. And for example, this morning I interviewed Chris Gaffney from Bradford University. This afternoon I'm interviewing someone else. It's just quick, and that's wonderful in terms of working in this office. Now, this on the screen, this is something called Kung Fury. It is a 80s fan film. There's Thor appearing out of nowhere, apparently making the focus go. He's so awesome. And I strongly recommend you check it out with his awesome pecs there. No, if you love 80s cheese, just Google or look on YouTube for Kung Fury. It's magnificent. It's about a cop from Miami going back in time to fix things. It's just superb. Half an hour of your life that you will not regret losing. Anyway, on top of the screen we have a series of Lego models, and actually the same goes for below the screen as well. Again, continuing to have an office space which is useful but also fun to be in. And there's Harley Quinn. She helps me with my editing, obviously. But yes, as I said, the whole desk, it has changed. The whole desktop setup is completely different to last time, but it's all much more useful than last time. Over behind the desk, as previously, we have my work calendar, but something which has changed is the fact that now I have these wooden drawers here. Previously I had this cube where I keep for example, my tripods, lighting, and which I'm using it obviously at the moment behind me, all in this plastic cube. But this wooden drawer setup is wonderful for keeping, for example, charging cables, sound cables, and all sorts of other bits and bobs out of the way, out of sight, but crucially accessible. So I can quickly grab what I need and go if I want to pop out and do some, either a project at short notice, or I just know where things are. It's just better for working in this room. We have on top a bit more Batman stuff going on, an X-Wing, my treasure chest. Everyone needs a treasure chest. Yes, I do actually keep my spare change in the treasure chest. And I suppose those are the biggest changes really that have happened in this office. Have been all about the computer and how I work at the desk. The bookcase is pretty much the same as last time. A few new books here and there, but the organisation is a secret. A secret, he says. No, the organisation is very much organic in that sense, but it's loosely by period on this bookshelf, and then this bookshelf is by essentially what I find useful in terms of reference material, essentially. And this thing here is a keyboard stand which pairs with this piece of wood here, which I'm using at the moment as a collapsible and quickly put-upable desk for when I film the Watching Brief podcast with Andy Brockman. So this is what I'm using. I'm using like a keyboard stand and a shelf as my desk, but it's effective, it works, and again it's quickly taken down and quickly put up. The biggest change in terms of equipment this year, or in the course of the past year, has been in the shape of this camera. This, again, was a big investment for me, and it's an investment which I took a long time to decide upon, and it's one which, again, I have no regrets about. I'm really liking using this camera. It's called the Sony PXW X70, and what it represents is a broadcast quality 1080p HD camera, which is upgradable to a 4K camera when I'm ready to start filming in 4K, and it's just made filming again quicker, more efficient, It's got a bit rate on the footage, which is faster than any camera I've ever used. So all round, again, I'm slowly but surely improving my capacity. And this also means that actually my previous best camera, which was the Sony, not the Sony, so the Canon 650D, is now my B angle. That's my secondary angle now. So, for example, you might have noticed on the interview with Chris Capel recently from Durham University, the two angles were comparable. There wasn't that much of a difference between the two of them in terms of image quality, whereas this camera here was markedly different from the Canon on previous interviews. So yeah, that's the biggest change in terms of equipment. And then also there's been a big change in terms of the set and the background. Notably, now I have these shelves here. So one day, essentially, I just sort of thought I need to have something just higher up. All this space here was getting cluttered by everything on these shelves. You couldn't really see what was there on camera, but also I couldn't really get at anything without knocking stuff over, you know, to have a play or whatever. And so, for example, someone recently sent me the Well of Souls Lego set. I mean, how cool is that? And I wanted to be able to get at this stuff individually, and so the way to do it was to get these shelves. They were black sort of pod shelves, which I've given my own sort of quick purple spray paint job, and I attached them to the wall one afternoon. Indy the dog was slightly freaking out into the brick wall there, but you know, hey ho. It was a quick and effective setup, and now I can get at everything on the set here nice and quickly. And you'll notice that there's a dinosaur. I haven't actually said thank you to the person who sent me this, not publicly anyway, but they wanted to remain anonymous. But yes, they thought it was hilarious that I don't do dinosaurs, and so they wanted to send me a dinosaur. So someone previously has sent me that thing there with the don't do logo on, as it were, or you know, the no symbol. And so they sent me this, and this is actually really quite funky because if I can just sort of get at there's a button on his back that makes his mouth open. Hello, my name is T-Rex. So I might use him in a video at some point, who knows. And oh, this is cool. This was sent to me by a school who thought that on a very hot day I did very well, even though everyone was sort of wilting in the class. So it's a solar-powered flower. It does better in the sun, and so did I apparently on that day. And this is pretty much the setup for it, really, for this year. And these represent the biggest changes. You'll notice that I have also gone so far as to make my own Shankara stone. Someone had sent me a grail, and also someone had sent me the Staff of Ra headpiece for Indiana Jones props, and so I made my own Shankara stone not that long ago. But that's pretty much it, and I continue to feel proud, I suppose, of this space. I continue to feel inspired by it, and also I continue to be able to work well and efficiently and effectively here every day. And every day I'm improving it, making little changes, and apparently lately I've been researching cheese racing. Nonetheless, that's the office as it stands at the moment, and I'm pretty sure it'll stay like this for the foreseeable future. So there you have it. That's the Archaeosoup office tour for 2017, and probably for the foreseeable future. I don't plan, for example, on upgrading my camera equipment all that much in the near future, or for example my computer. You know, there'll be minor things like the editing software, but apart from that, nothing physically really is going to change here, I think, for the next couple of years, hopefully. Well, you never know. There might be some dramatic change in the future, but nonetheless, I'm content with this office tour. Now, just very quickly, you may have noticed that this year at Archaeosoup we didn't do something that we've done in previous years, and that is, for example, have an annual roundup video. So examining what came in 2016 and stating plans for the coming year. And that's been deliberate, and I'm not going to go into details about my thought process. But what I will say is that we have all, the whole Archaeosoup team have all come to a point, I think, following a very difficult 2016 in all of our lives. Actually, we've all had lots going on. We've come to a point actually where we're working, I think, smarter than ever before. So I certainly have some goals that I want to achieve this year. One of them is a monthly goal, but again, I'm not gonna go into details on that one. But this feels like a much better setup than actually ever before. So not only is the office working better than ever, not only do I feel much more organised and much more able to produce the types of footage and film that I want to, but also actually across the board, really. Aaron, Jeanette, Liv, some other people who we work with as well. Um, all of these people actually, I think this year have come to a place where we're moving forward with intent, and so we're not going to make any grand public statements or grand sort of targets that we're going to hit, because that really just piles on pressure that sort of stifles creativity. But definitely, I mean, for example, today, I'm filming two interviews back to back with archaeologists, really just by following up on points of interest, and that's the key, I think, is being creative, being interested, and keeping this stuff interesting as well. So yeah. So as I say, there wasn't an annual update, but this is kind of, I suppose, serving as a bit of a touchstone for my philosophy for the year, is is actually doing, and just enjoying that process of making things happen. So hopefully you guys will benefit from that during the course of the year, and hopefully at least certainly some of my goals, and for example my monthly goals and this kind of thing, will come to fruition. But you'll just have to see what comes your way and just enjoy your soup, hopefully, as ever. Speaking of which, I need to crack on with my research. As ever, guys, until next time, do take care. Bye bye.